let's take a look at AD Mitchell, because what the situation is always extremely important. We look at the Indianapolis Colts and you bench Anthony Richardson. You have a rotation at quarterback between your boy Joe Flacco and AR-15. You have a plethora of wide receivers that were on this team prior to AD Mitchell joining this group, so it struggled to get on the field for the Indianapolis Colts and AD Mitchell. Another season, though, in Indianapolis that comes up just short of the postseason as they continue to try to get this offense up and going. So him getting on the field was a big part of it. Only played 36% of the snaps heading into the final week of the season, so that plays a part in how our evaluation is going to go. I wanted to throw all of that out there because I wanted to just kind of lay that baseline as we look at and you break into the film of AD Mitchell, of the situation that he was walking into, and getting on the field. Difficult for him this year for one reason or another.
And not difficult because he can't play. It's difficult because some of the guys that are ahead of him, whether it's contract related, it's draft status, it's also experience in this offense, experience in the NFL, experience with the quarterback preference. And then AD Mitchell is playing behind, playing catch up. He's learning how to play in the NFL. Also, what his role is in this offense. And he has to find his role based off what the roles everybody else has. And Pittman has a contract. I don't care how good AD Mitchell will be. You're not going to outshine the guy who's getting paid, at least not in the beginning. And that's just how it goes. You don't pay a guy X amount of millions and say, okay, he's getting all the passes. That's not going to work well. That's not going to go well in the locker room. And so you got to just understand how things work out. But AD Mitchell has a ton of talent. Mm-hmm. He is learning how to be an NFL receiver because he's a rookie. No one's a finished product. I don't care how good you think you are. There's always room for improvement. And we're also growing and developing every single day. And so AD Mitchell is a prime example of it, but he has some good upside. He has some things that I really like to see and show. One of the things I talked to one of my sources, and he said he's probably the best route runner in the room. He's probably the best receiver in the room. Really? He just doesn't know it yet. He does not know it yet. And I was like, really? He goes, yeah, bro. You know how coaches get sometimes. They overcoach, over-explain, and get a young guy's head swimming. And I go, I remember that. I remember when you start to doubt yourself. I remember you run a quick slant, a two-step, and the coach scolds you. And then a savvy veteran runs the exact same route. And it's fine. You're going, what the? How does that happen? I've seen it. I've experienced it.
I'll throw this in real quick, Steve, is what you're saying, because I'm just looking at my notes, too. Another offensive coordinator, we were talking the other day, he goes, just from watching carryover film, I think he's a good route runner, man. He wins. He does get open.
He does win.
The problem is, and we'll get into this, it doesn't mean he gets the ball. But he did say, he goes, there's times, man, I'm watching him win. Because I was just like, hey, what do you think of AD Mitchell as you're watching? Man, I've watched some of it. He's a good route runner, in my opinion. And he wins, and he wins consistently sometimes. So
he does. Quarterback play is inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
Quarterback play is inconsistent.
We'll get to that.
Hey, hit that film, DJ. So against the Packers, you got this. Ball's on the 33-yard line. Love this concept. 3-by-1. He's playing. He plays X receiver. He's down here in the condensed formation, getting covered by a linebacker. What I really love about this is he understands how to set up and understands the concept of the play. He runs this route off the hash. Runs a little quick out. He doesn't go off really fast. Comes off tempo. Here's the problem. Man, Anthony Richardson throws the ball with zero pace. He throws him a pass like he's throwing shirts in the middle of the basketball arena up to the nosebleed. Man, just put some touch and some arc on it. That's not the receiver's fault. Look how fast he's throwing it. And then right here, he gets jammed up. But why does he get jammed up? Because Jair Alexander is a really good corner. And what does he do?
He is.
He sneaks him with a quick jam. He gives the illusion that he's going to drop back in coverage, and then he sneaks back up because the receiver has to look at the snap of the football. You can't always hear cadence. They're in Green Bay. So you have to watch either the tackle or the receiver that's lined up to give you an indication that the ball is being snapped, because you can't always hear the cadence. So when he looks up, Jair Alexander sneaks him. But what I love is he still finishes the route. And who knows what Adonai Mitchell can do with the ball in his hands yards after catch. But look at this. He's looking to the left. Everybody's over there. Too much traffic over there, in my opinion. Should be going to the left side. But he doesn't. And then this is a play right here. Yes, it's a drop. But it's an aggressive drop against Mixon, who's a Cali guy. He's a heck of a corner. He's very active. He drops the ball, but I love the way he gets in his route. He fights through contact, comes back down the stem. We call that, he's just fighting, runs a little hinge. Look how much separation he has. Stops on the dime and gives that corner 10 pennies. That's a hinge route, and that's a route that you learn how to run with feel. You can't teach that, and I love seeing that. Just got to come up with the play. Now this route right here, I love this. This is a wheel route. I love the way he sells it. It's a solid wheel route. Ball is placed, I think, okay. But I love the switch release, single high formation, and he runs the wheel route, sets it up, gives him his eyes to give the indication to the corner. I'm not rushing it. I'm going to run what I'm supposed to run. Does it, puts his foot in the ground, uses his speed, goes up, bang. His role and how to run the route. This is against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Who's the quarterback? Joe Flacco. Bang, throws it. We ran this a couple of weeks ago against Green Bay. Same kind of concept, except Joe understands it, sees where his eyes go, bang, gets opportunity. And it's slick. So he outside releases, under control, doesn't slip. That's important. A wide receiver understands his footing, understands the element, and he knows, hey, I have to be under control, but I don't sneak into the route. I got to be under control. Give the corner enough indication and pressing his leverage to make him back up, but cross his face under control so I don't slip and let that ball go into the hands of the corner. That is a really good route by a young man who understands how and what he's doing. This is a hell of a route. This is a hinge route. I really like this route. Joe Flacco's running a route. Stop, little hinge. Man, these are the things that you want from your young quarterback. Look at it. Stops on the dime. Does a really good job. He doesn't get out the framework of himself, but the corner does. And what happens?
Separation.
Corner slips. Still knows how to play. Watching this film from college and today, you still see some of the good things of quick feet, understanding, the flashes of his pro approach of playing. He's improved on his routes, because I thought at the combine his routes weren't as great as they were in college, but he is working. Reggie Wayne, his receivers coach, who knows how to run routes, I believe should be a Hall of Famer. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on. Now, I just like this route is because it just goes in motion, under control, recognizes his man. If you're looking, you're booking. And that's what he's doing. He's looking, so that means he's telling the quarterback, I will continue. And that's a small detail. That's something that you don't understand. There are little indications. So they say, if you are looking at the quarterback, I'm booking. That means I'm running. Throw it to me. If I'm looking here and I don't look at the quarterback, then that means I'm sitting down. But he's looking, so he's booking. Joe understands that. Boom, he catches the ball. And that's just a small detail, but I love seeing that. Goes in motion. I like this play. He shows he's athletic. Look at that. Looking down the field. Throws a nice little ball. I just like to see how a guy can show his athleticism and his versatility, and how the coaches also know and trust that this young man has a lot of tools in his toolbox, and give him an opportunity to display that. That's pretty cool, and I love seeing that. What do you give him a grade? What's your grade?
So, again, we always ask around. We talk to executives, talk to scouts, talk to coaches that usually played against these guys, prepared for them. What do they think, Steve? Situationally, when I talked to two different DCs that played the Colts, obviously his snaps were limited. He did play a lot against one of them. But really, this was universally said by both. The quarterback is an issue. This episode is brought to you by BetterHelp. Now, with the new year beginning, we're here to remind you that life is more and maybe more complex than just resolutions that fade in February. It's about picking up the pen, becoming the author of your own life. BetterHelp is completely online, so it's therapy that is both convenient and affordable, and serving more than 5 million people worldwide. So, write your story with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/89 and you'll get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/89. Inexperience from Anthony Richardson is going to impact receivers' play. Can he still launch at 60 yards and big plays can happen? For sure. But like in terms of evaluating some of these receivers, it's difficult, both these guys said, because of the quarterback play. And so that has to be put into his situation of where he's walking into. The other part is he's the fourth wide receiver in their room. And I love that you mentioned that little nugget. And I hope people listen to that and remember that there is some talk of him being the best route runner in the room. That's important. That's really important. But the part that stands out to me is, from everybody I talked to, these were kind of the two things that you're hearing. Why is there a disconnect between him and the quarterbacks? People in Indianapolis go, they don't have an answer. Why does it seem like he hasn't clicked yet? That's a good question. That's what Shane Steichen says. It seems like there's something there to where he's not getting on the same page with multiple quarterbacks, Steve. So I want to ask you, from a receiver standpoint, that's difficult when you're a young receiver and they're changing quarterbacks. And when you talk to people in Indianapolis, it sounds like they don't have an answer for it, which also tells me it might not all fall on Adonai Mitchell, because if there was an issue, they would know that they need to fix this with their receiver. When your coaching staff is saying, yeah, we're trying to figure that out, that's because they don't know either, because they're seeing some good things from him as a receiver in practice.
That's code for we don't really want to say that we have a quarterback issue, right?
Yes.
He's also trying to prove people wrong, and that's frustrating, to prove people wrong, and you don't even get an opportunity, but you're running good routes, right? You're running good routes. Coaches telling you, hey, good job.
I heard that from everybody.
Well, it's good enough job, but I can't get the football. So the messages are kind of like, that's confusing. So you're telling me I'm doing a good job. You're telling me I'm running good routes, but my quarterback isn't throwing me the football.
Yep.
So you automatically start to doubt yourself, and you start to believe, like, man, somebody got to be selling me a bill of goods, because you're telling me I'm doing all the right stuff, but the results seem to be the polar opposite.
Yep.
That can be frustrating for anybody.
100%.
Hey, let me see. You go to work, you work hard, but your check is still short.
There was one team I talked to that said, hey, in the draft coming out where he was at, we think there's a lot that goes into him as a player. And I think this is part of his situation and part of maybe his maturity that we're trying to see at the NFL level, because you and I both did a lot of work during the draft, Steve, and knew that there were some question marks outside of route running and football play that some teams wanted to have answered. There were some teams I talked to that said he might be as talented as the guys at the top of this draft. But there were some other things that they wanted to evaluate that, honestly, two different teams I talked to said we weren't going to pick him because of those. And so are those things growing as he grows and learns the NFL? I think that's a part of it that you need to get that answered if you're Shane Steichen and company, because this happens a lot in the NFL, right, Steve? There is talent. There are talented receivers out there. What are all the other pieces to the puzzle? You found a way to piece all of those things together that make you a successful NFL receiver and NFL player. It seems like, talking to people, those are still pieces he's trying to put together to be an NFL player.
But some of those pieces don't relate to
you can control some
him.
And you can't control
Yeah,
others.
some of them are out of his control. And so for me, the things that are in his control, I think his route running is a C, right? And I say a C because, it's a good route, but if you don't get the football, it doesn't count. But athleticism, I give him a B. Potential, you can see he's different with Joe Flacco with a better quarterback, so I give him a B minus. So my overall grade for him has to be a C, because it's limited on what is in his control. And at the same time, he doesn't have a lot of stats, but that isn't because he can't play. It's just where he is. And so, in the real world, we don't give you an A for effort. We give you you get your grades based off the results. And so I would be interested to see, as this team continues to go in the direction they're going, what happens at the quarterback position. And how does that affect not just him, but everybody in that receiver room? Because you can see it's affected them greatly because of how much up and down this offense has been for the Colts.
There were some rumors and questions about business decisions. You've heard that term, Steve, over the middle. You spent a lot of time running routes over the middle. When Shane Steichen was asked about that earlier in the season, he kind of said, well, that's something that we're working on and something that we're trying to have teachable moments with everybody in the receiver room. To me, when a coach kind of says that is, can you work on being better over the middle? Is it an adjustment to the NFL? Or do you have it or do you not have it?
I'll give it to you short and sweet.
Yes.
That also goes with the trust of your quarterback. Is this dude going to throw me into a headache? So I don't care what the hell the head coach is telling me we could work better. Give me a better ball, right? So that's the bottom line. So you can say all what you want, coach. You ain't catching the football. You sitting over there with a headset and chewing gum, right? So that's great for you. But you're not the one that's going to get flipped. You're not the one that's going to get like we've seen some other good players, kneecaps, dislocated kneecaps and all that stuff. So quarterback placement of the ball and helping out your receiver is important. So don't sit there and say, I'm going on a business decision.
We've seen some scary ones on the Colts, Steve, actually this year.
Bro, if you are hanging me out to dry, I ain't going to keep catching the ball over the middle, because if you are notoriously known for getting me sleep, I ain't catching that pill. I'm sorry.
That's just another example that this all ties in together as we evaluate these players through the rookie report cards and all of these rookie receivers, how much your quarterback play and your situation plays into your success that everybody calls it. But I love that we have your ability to break down the film and show what is being done individually by the receiver in terms of their growth at the NFL level. Awesome.
Man, there was a pass that they threw to Alex Pierce where Alex had to be 7 foot tall to catch it because he was going across the middle. Ball was overthrown significantly. Alex jumped up, but just couldn't get it because it was overthrown that much and went into the hands of the defender. That wasn't a business decision. That was an inaccurate football. You can't say there's an inaccurate football thrown to the receiver and then throw the receiver under the bus and say that he's making business decisions, because what you're also doing as a head coach, you're making business decisions on protecting your quarterback, because you know that he has very sensitive ears and you don't want to rattle him even more than he's rattled. And sometimes quarterbacks are protected at the expense of other positions and other players, and you got to be careful of that.